Hey, man, I can't hear you, to be honest.
That's my bad. Got caught by the mute button right there. Boise State, San Jose State, dude. Like Boise State, like you talked about that, turnover in the red zone late in the game, like that. I mean, that changed the game completely. I mean, it made it look very lopsided, but it really wasn't at all. The bright side for Boise State is that offensively they looked really good. But San Jose State, I mean, eager put up points, dude, and I mean Nick Nash just is so freaking good, dude. That wide receiver spot. I mean, just so good. They're in every single game, because they have that connection right there. But we both took Boise State to win, San Jose State to cover, and that's probably what should have happened. But I am I Ashton Jeanty is a special football player, right? I mean, teams are legitimately having to put 10 players in the box to stop him. Committing that kind of resources has allowed Maddox Madsen to look really good as a quarterback offensively. I'm still worried about this defense. I'm still worried about it. If they have to play UNLV again, I'm not exactly sold 100%. I might be picking UNLV in that game. I'm serious because they've had a second chance to look at Ashton Jeanty, and they held them to his season low on the entire year. I just
Which was like 100 and
130 some
28.
yeah, which I the agenda. By the way, if you look at like Howell power ratings and strength of schedule, people are like, "Oh my gosh, Jeanty, friggin' his schedule's awful. It's terrible. He's playing terrible teams." If you look at the power ratings of the schedule that Oklahoma State played in 1988 and the schedule that Boise State has played so far this year, Boise State has played, and it's not even debatable. Boise State's schedule is tougher than the schedule Oklahoma State played in 1988. Believe it or not, they played two completely defeated teams back in 1988. They played two teams that had 0 wins on the season. A 4-7 Tulsa team. The Big Eight back then only had 4 teams with a winning record. If you want to look at the Mountain West, only had 4 teams with a winning record. I mean, their out of conference was abysmal. Texas Tech was one of their better out of conference opponents, and they did not have a winning season that year. So I just the narrative. Also, Barry Sanders averaged. People are like, oh, Ashton Jeanty with 30 plus carries a game. Barry Sanders averaged 28 carries a game that season. Ashton Jeanty is only averaging 25. Derrick Henry in 2015 averaged 26 carries a game. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Why is this
It
narrative
sucks
being
for,
pushed that Ashton Jeanty is just like some sort of stat garbage time merchant?
and if you think Travis Hunter or Shador Sanders or whoever made Cam Ward, Dylan Gabriel, if you think they deserve the Heisman, that's fine. But you can't. Don't be pushing down Jeanty just to prop up your guy because objectively, Jeanty has been unbelievable. Subjectively, watching him, he has been fantastic. They needed him this game, and obviously, I know Mad Max like the stats look great. 22 of 30, 286 and a touchdown. But when they needed points in that second half, like Jeanty got the rock and he delivered 3 touchdowns for him. It's fun to watch him back there, man. It really is. I'm glad we've been covering them a good amount this year, and we put San Jose State on this because we were like, this is probably Boise State's last chance to lose a football game until um, the Mountain West Championship if they play UNLV. But the reality is, well, I guess we probably just jinxed them. You're going too Laramie this week, but yeah, and at San Jose State, I think in terms of like how these teams like how going forward, I think got to give a ton of credit to Coach Ken there in San Jose State. Boise State, like you mentioned, that defense, like there were some flaws there. There were some flaws there, and that could potentially be exposed by UNLV or obviously in the playoffs. So this is a far from perfect Boise State team, but they're winning football games. I think style points do matter for them, especially if Army and Tulane keep winning football games. And also, too, like that pick six at the end is huge because how many college football playoff committee members you think actually watched this football game until the fourth quarter, right? Let alone like the entire thing. So
None.
it exactly so or Heisman Trophy winners too. So like
Well, there's some
it
Heisman Trophy voters that definitely watched it, but some.
I'm saying like all of them, but I think too, like winning by 21 looks a lot better than winning by 7. And while we know this game was competitive, but we know that Boise State, could have gotten got here, and San Jose State played a fantastic football game. We also know that these quote unquote like playoff committee members, like they're looking at the
Experts.
final score and they're like, oh, 21 points. So I think if you're Boise State, like that's huge. Like that's underratedly huge.
I
I don't
agree.
know to what extent. I don't know if it's gonna be the make or break if they make it or not, but it's just something to think about too.
I,
Unfortunately,
I think if they win out, they should, unless Army wins out, right? That would be your only caveat, which I don't know that they will.
I think an at-large bid, if they beat UNLV again, right, and if you have some teams at the top that lose, like I don't think it's crazy. I wouldn't hate it personally. If Army wins out, Army should get in. But I also think of Boise State, who started the season, the opening rankings at number 12, and all they did was
Sorry,
win.
the college football playoff rankings at 12. Yeah.
Thank you.